Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Core Brands podcast. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Karen McCarthy. Karen McCarthy is the founder of the Simplified social media and her signature program, Online Business Accelerator, mostly known as OBA. Karen works with online service providers, helping them to create scalable business by creating offers that sell. She teaches them marketing and content strategies so they can effectively communicate their message and sell their offers to their target audience. Karen's background is in marketing, business, and journalism, and she infuses these core pillars in all her offers. Karen is just wonderful, and I've known Karen pretty much since the beginning of my own business. And she has become a friend, and I am so pleased to welcome her in the podcast. So let's dive in the conversation. Hello, Karen. You are so welcome to the Core Brands podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. And I always like to start this conversation by breaking the ice with kind of like a fun question so the listeners can learn a little bit about yourself before we dive into the simplified social media. So, Karen, what I would like to ask you is, when you were a kid, what would you want it to be?
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you for having me on. So happy to be here. I wanted to be a singer or a writer or some kind of a animal communicator, or if I could merge them all, even better.
That doesn't surprise me. I kind of like suspected, but I'm going to ask this anyway because I might get a surprise. Maybe she wanted to be police or a nurse.
There
Maybe
was
not.
a while where I wanted to be a nun.
Oh, that's surprising. Now you got me.
The reason was very misleading though. Like I went to a very Catholic school run by nuns. And I used my mom was working, she was a teacher, so I'd often be the last left in primary school waiting, and the nuns would have to kind of mind me, but just I was like staying back late in class, and I in my head was like, they're so nice and they all live in this house together and it's like sleepovers 24/7. That would be so much fun. I think I want to be a nun.
That's so funny. I didn't know that. So yeah, great.
I changed my mind, but you know.
That's so fun. Yeah, that's a great perspective. Like when when you were a kid, you see things with completely different
Yeah.
eyes. So yeah, that's fun. Okay, great. So now kind of like going more backwards to when you first started your career. I know that you were a journalist for a while. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey from, when you were working as a journalist until up to the time that, you had the light bulb moment? I'm going to set up the simplified social media. And, if you want to tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, it's been quite a funny journey because I studied marketing for 5 years in Dublin in DIT, and I absolutely hated it. I thought marketing was so manipulative and salesy and pushy, and I wanted to be I did marketing because I wanted to be a singer, and I was kind of told by career guidance in school, well, like marketing is the creative of the businesses, so you should go into marketing. So I was like waiting for the music to come up. It never did. And at that stage, it was well before social media. Like I graduated in 2005. So I was just like, as soon as I'm out here, I will never touch the subject ever again. I'm done. And I did a lot of things then for about 10 years. One of them was I managed another small business for somebody else for about 10 years. I also did the journalism. I worked with the Sunday Tribune in Dublin, and I was a features editor there for a while, which I loved. That it was like where I really got to practice the content writing and all that. And then recession time hit in about 2008. That newspaper closed down. I was not happy in the job I was in at all. I really wanted to do something creative. So I was looking it didn't occur to me that I could leave my job, because I just was like, what else would I do? Like I'm 34 at that stage, thinking that was old. Now I know better. And I was like, what else would I do? I don't want to do marketing, obviously. So I don't know what else I could do. And so I started just looking for ways to be creative, almost like refuel myself more. And I did like a blues singing course. I did a couple of different creative writing things. And then I stumbled upon a blog creation course. So I learned how to like build a blog in like Blogspot. Back in the day, it was very, very basic.
Yeah, I remember.
And created a blog about dog friendly places in Ireland because I have my two dogs who are obviously my world. And I was like, this will be creative, it'll be fun, it's writing. And I don't think I even really had an idea that it would go anywhere, but it was
Yeah,
more like my sanity to do that. So I started like going to places because Ireland was not dog friendly then at all. It was like you'd be lucky to get anywhere. So I would just arrive up with the two dogs in my arms, be like, "Can we come inside? We're going to write a blog about you." And they were like, "Go on." And if they let us in, I would write a blog, and it was just all fun. And then at the time, again, this is like 2015. Somebody was like, "Oh, there's like this really cool app that has these really nice photo filters that would probably make your blog pictures look better. It's called Instagram." And I was like, "Okay." So I said, "All right, I'll use that." But I remember being afraid of it, being like, "Where are these photos going? Like, who's going
yeah,
to see them? I don't want strangers to see my photos of my dogs."
yeah,
So I was using it very poorly, didn't really understand what it was. But long story short, that account ended up growing to like thousands. It's now at like about 30,000 followers. And I was like, okay, interesting. We've got the writing, we've got the content creation, we've got a marketing background, and we've got sort of creativity with all this. And if I pull it all together, I think again, it was all very like there was no big plan in my
yeah,
mind. It was more like I know what I don't want was always kind of my catalyst in a way. I didn't want to be in the job I was in, and I wanted to do something more creative. So I just kept pursuing it and seeing where it would go, and that led me to as I was sitting in the job I hate. I remember it'd be like 8 o'clock at night in the office, and I was just like looking on Facebook for local businesses that looked like they were terrible at writing content, and just reached out to them. Was like, "Hey, that post you put up, I like think it would be better if you did this," and like wrote it for them and sent it to them. Again, with no real concept that I was doing like cold.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what we call now the cold email or cold messaging.
Yeah,
But
but I
it,
had no clue what I was doing. It was just coming from a genuine place of like, I think
yeah,
you can do this better, and I just like writing, and I'm sitting here in an office I hate. So what else am I going to be doing? And like one of them turned into a client and was like, "Would you like to just take over our social media?" And I was like, "Okay, I
yeah,
don't know what I'm doing, but okay." And was learning it as I went, was taking any course I could as I went, and it just kept growing and ended up being like, well, look, I could leverage this now and actually quit the job if I play my cards right. And my dream was always to go back to France. I'd lived in France. I'd worked in Disneyland back when I was 19. And I just love France and all things French and speaking French and super dog friendly. So I just was like, I just want to go and live in France. It was just my goal. I was like, maybe I can leverage this job because like I'm not in their office. They don't mind where I am. And I could just be in France doing this job. And that's all it was at the time. And I left, and that was like the end of 2016. I kind of packed up my bags, rented out my house, was doing Airbnb, was doing everything to just like save up as much money
yeah,
as I possibly could. My goal was to like give myself 6 months income runway to just like give this a go and see what happens. So I had been like saving money, doing Airbnb to every space I had in my house possible to just save up all the money and be in France. So like come 1st of January 2017, I was in France with the dogs with this new job, a sort of freelance content
amazing.
I was doing, and just like taking every course I possibly could to grow and grow and grow. But I feel like the whole thing, there was never like a lot of forethought in it. It was, I was always kind of fueled by this has to change. It was almost like the pain had gotten too high that it was like, this has to change now. And just throwing stuff as I could and seeing what I could make out of it. And it just, gradually and eventually worked. But like, it was very, very haphazard and very, let's just give it a go. But so glad I did and that it worked out the way it did. And that obviously eventually turned into, I was doing freelance content, copywriting, marketing, strategy, whatever, for a lot of different companies as freelance. And then went full time into coaching in like end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And then kind of went into launch my first program. And it just started to get more structured and
Yeah,
professional and proper as the years went on. And now it is what it is now.
wow. And look where you are now. Like that's a great journey, Karen. And just yeah, like even I came across yourself and the Simplified social media. I think it was 2020 when I was starting my business, and I remember having the feeling, oh my God, she knows what she's doing. So So you came across really really knowledgeable and really experienced and a trustful source of information, which I think sometimes it's hard to find online.
It can be, yeah. There's a
Yeah,
lot out there, and there's a lot of, especially I think with the social media world, a lot of people were like, "Oh, like I have an Instagram personal account, and now I am an expert in this." And like, I know you can learn things fast, and there's, some people are, but I think, yeah, you have to be careful with who you go with, and what their background is in. And I do think like I was able to grow or just like do what I've done in the time I've done it. Not that it was super fast either, but just to get to where I am because of the background and experience that I've had. Like what as much as I kind of say, oh, my marketing degree, it was nothing. Like it was 5 years of learning about business and case studies, and that did stand to me at some level. And then running an offline business for 10 years, I learned so much doing that. Then the journalism, like that's where like I'm such an advocate for people who are a little bit older doing things like, and again,
yeah,
older, it's like, I don't think I'm old. Well, not that old, but
yeah. No, you're not. You're not. And I can advocate for that because we're same age.
yes, I'm older than you now, though, a little bit. Um, but yeah, I think it's just, you bring so much experience when you're a little bit older, and I think that often gets discounted in the social media world, where it's all like everything is about youth and how amazing you look on camera and all this kind of crap. But you forget all the experiences that you bring from your life, from all the different jobs you've had,
Yeah.
from all the things that stands to you. And like, I love when I get a client who comes into my program and I can help them see that, because they can often come in and say, oh, like I've only been doing this for a year. It's like, yeah, but you're 40. What else have you been doing for the last 40 years?
Yeah.
There's so many things you can bring to what you're doing that will make you stand out and give you that credibility and expertise as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that and with you. And I think education and all the experience you have in the past can build up and make you your unique self in business as well. And that's kind of like your unique selling point then when you are among other peers that are doing the same things as you. Like we all different, we all have different processes, different ways of doing things, and this is pretty much thanks to the experience that we've built along the years and into college or job experience, etc. So that's really interesting. And I'm curious, like this is completely off script. I did not have this question planned, but I'm just thinking, did you leverage any clients from your following from the Small Dogs Big City? So because that was your first account having kind of like a big following, does some of those followers converted into clients then into the Simplified social media?
Yes, they have. At the beginning in particular, because some of them, a lot of the people there would have been maybe product-based businesses, which at the very, very start I did work with. I don't anymore. But I have had a lot of, and I love when I get somebody in a dog niche working with me. It's just, I get so excited. I have to calm myself down. Sales call. So I'm just like, there's so much we can do. But yeah, no, I've had a couple of clients who I know, like, and it's they'll maybe find me through the dogs or some something to do with the dogs, and then they'll come over Simplified social media and we'll work together, because again, when I obviously love dogs, if that hasn't become clear. um um, so I love working with those niches because I have such an insight to them, and how they work and everything. So it's great when I get somebody now, because it's so, when they're service-based business in particular. So like even like dog trainers, I had like a animal communicator work with me who I just absolutely loved, and I'm a client of hers now as well. She works with my dogs, so that often happens too. But yeah, it can, and I think the other account as well, it does add credibility, where
Yeah.
I have the Simplified social media account linked on Small Dogs Big City. So when people are on Small Dogs Big City, they can come over very easily. And I think I do talk about it sometimes when I do like personal brand content of like, this is how it got started. So people look at it and go, oh, so she hasn't just grown her own account or doesn't just do this business. It shows, again, I didn't just start this in 2 years ago because I thought I could do a pretty Instagram photo.
Yeah.
I'm doing this in lots of different ways. So I think it does. It can both bring clients directly and add credibility, and it's also just super fun.
Yeah, yeah. And it also kind of like tying back to the authenticity part of, being our full selves in business. You can show up as you are and attract those people that connect with you at that level. And that's just perfection in business. That's like
Mm.
having your dream clients that align with the same morals and the same values.
Yeah.
And they enjoy the same things as you. So that's kind of like makes it fun.
Yeah, and I think especially when you do coaching where you're like working with somebody on quite a intense, deep level,
Yeah.
you do need to get along. And when you share more things about yourself, you're going to attract like-minded people, and it's going to be a much higher chance that you will get along. And like, I obviously share a lot about my dogs on social media in general. And most of my clients, if they don't have dogs directly, they are mad about them in some way, or they like at least appreciate the,
Yeah.
share of Jesse eating his morning croissant or
Oh
something.
my God, I'm jealous of those croissants every morning. I'm like, is she eating croissants again? I want a croissant.
He is a
I
hard.
want to live with Karen to have croissants every day. Yeah, so that's fun. That's interesting. Um, so I guess that in that sense, and touching base on that, have you ever come across a situation where you did not really connect with a client just because there was that alignment was not there and things kind of like didn't seem that they were going to work good?
Mm.
What's your advice then, if you can tell us, to our listeners, if that kind of thing happens, what's the best way to deal with it?
Yeah, so I am lucky that it hasn't happened in a very bad way in terms of like it going so far as they're my client. This is where I think like both discovery calls or like connection calls are important, and you again being authentic on your own social media and how your messaging is put out there to very much be, clear and transparent about how you work and what you're like. And I have said no to people on discovery calls, or not invite them to a discovery call if I have just had that feeling of like, look, I just don't think we're not the right fit for each other, or I think you'd be better off going somewhere else, and I'll recommend them. Because like I don't want to work with somebody who, because it's on one side, like it's going to be a lot of my time face to face with
Yeah.
them, deep, and if I'm not enjoying it, they're not going to enjoy it. And if I can't enjoy it, I'm probably not going to be able to get them the best results. So I would never take on somebody if I don't feel like, one, I can help them, or two, that we're not going to work well together. And I think I have a good enough intuition about it that I'll know from a discovery call or even looking at their social media. So like if you, I would advise anyone, make sure you have those processes in place, that you can screen people. And you can also do it like outside discovery calls. I'll have the same one, like an application, where whatever way they're going to come and apply to work with me, they go through a process where I'll know by asking the right questions if this is a good fit or not. And then
Yeah.
if you get into a situation where you have signed up with somebody and you're like, just like, no, this is not going to work, I would refund them, and I would be honest and say, look, like I just don't think I'm the best person to help you, and I don't want you to waste your money or your time. And I would make maybe recommendations, have a list of people who you think they would work better with, and do that. I think and I know it's hard to say no to money when you're self-employed.
Yeah.
Better off in the long run, because it's just going to be such an energy drain, such a time drain. And then they may end up just not being happy in the end, and they might want a refund or something. So I think you're better off trusting your gut. I think everyone's gut will tell them when it's not the right fit, and to just say no. I need to say no. And like, I am a big believer, if you say no to something, you'll open the door to a couple of other things that will happen that way. I've seen that happen before. And it's such a nice feeling when you say no and you're like, oh God, I said no to the money, and then you're like, oh my God, 3 people just applied. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, it's a good feeling. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that as well. Like it's like magic.
yeah.
It's like the universe telling you, "Good girl, now here's your reward."
You did well.
Well, so yeah, that's so true. And in terms of other challenges that you've had when starting your business, was there anything in particular that you find that was hard to overcome?
Oh,
Um,
how much time do we have? Um, I struggled massively with, and I've talked about this before, with being on camera. Like
yeah,
to the point of crippling fear. Like I can't even explain how terrified I was. And I think because it's funny, people will message me now, oh, you're so natural on camera. It's like, I mean, I'm fine with it.
You
Obviously, I'm
are.
with it now, but like, I still don't love it. I don't think I'll ever love it. But I'm okay with doing it now. But I was like, I swear, the amount of times I was like, I think I just have to quit. If this is like now a part of my business, I just have to quit. Because I started, like, I didn't have my own Instagram account when I think it was 2 years in business before I actually started an Instagram account, because I was just very much behind the scenes doing content for other
Yeah.
people. I never had to be the face of the brand. I went to like events for people, took videos, all this kind of, I never had to be on camera. And it was only when Reels came in that the pressure really came on. And I was like, I literally was just like, I think I'm going to quit. I just like, whereas everyone else starting their businesses in 2020 and getting on camera, I was like, I think I'm just going to quit now because I'm just not doing a reel. I'm just not doing it.
It's either quit or dance. But you don't have to dance. You don't have to dance to make reels. Like that was kind of like,
It was just, like, I remember I used to like, because I used to get the same when I do singing, and like I wanted to sing, at least I like had a motivation to want to get on
yeah.
singing. But I remember like I used to get uncontrollable shakes when singing, to the point where I needed to like put my hands somewhere that it
Oh wow.
controlled. Like I had to put it like under my knee or something, and my knee would start to shake. So I had to like position myself to just, because it was just involuntary shaking. I was so terrified. But you know, on stage you can take a quick gin and tonic or something. You know, I couldn't do. If I started
Yeah.
doing that before every reel, I'd be in trouble.
Before every story on Instagram.
No, it's a shot time. Morning shot talk.
Process.
Oh goodness. But yeah, I remember doing my first live actually in this room, and like had to stand up again because I was shaking so much in my hands, and I had to keep my hands off camera because they were shaking. And I like whizzed through it. I practically had a script, and I was just, I think I was doing Instagram audits or something at the time, and I was just like, so this notice first, okay, bye. It's just like absolutely terrified. So that was really hard, and a couple of times led me to the conclusion like maybe I just need to quit this because the camera is not for me. So I'm glad I stuck it out. I still wish it wasn't such a big thing that we had to all be on cameras.
Yeah.
So we could just write. But it is so important, and I know that, and I tell my clients that, like, it's part of the connection. I look for, if I'm going to go buy from somebody on Instagram, I look for the reel or the story where I can hear their voice, because it's energetic as well. Like, you're looking to see, can you work with this person? So I have over the time kind of developed a lot of, you know, kind of systems, I suppose, or just ways to help myself get on camera, because it still isn't like my favorite thing to do. And I think that's important, to find ways that it's easier for you. And like for me, I started with like, okay, I'll do a boomerang. I'll do like a with
Yeah.
me and Roxy, and like she's the focus, and then it'll be a filter on it. And, you know, I'll post that. And if nobody, you know, tells me I'm awful in 24 hours, then maybe I'll do another one. But just like easing baby steps into it. But that was one of the biggest struggles as I was growing my business, for sure. And I know a lot of people can probably relate to that because it's not easy.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a full circle moment for you as well, because you struggled with that. And now you kind of like mentor people and coach people into
Yeah.
doing that as a strategy, you know, to build their online business. So that's really fantastic. And it makes it really relatable because people can see firsthand that you walk the walk, and you survived and you're
Survive
successful.
every day.
And exactly, nothing worse is gonna happen. And that's something that I tell myself a lot of times when I'm nervous, and I get a little bit nervous as well showing on camera.
Hmm.
And people keep telling me the same, oh, you're so natural, I love your
Yeah,
stories. And I'm like, not every day.
yeah, yeah.
But like the thing that I ask myself is, what's the worst that can happen? Especially on stories, like you can literally delete them if you don't like them. And if you don't delete them, they will disappear after 24 hours. So if you see, you see. If you don't see, you don't see.
Yeah, that's the best thing about stories. It's a great place to get comfortable with it. And I think like I'm very honest with my clients as well. Like, I'm not just like, oh, it's fine, I love it now. I'm just like, I still don't like it. I'll do it because I have to, and here's how I force myself to do it. You know, and here's
Yeah.
my do it less, but make it appear like you're doing it more. So it's just, I think they
Yeah.
appreciate that. They're like, oh, okay, you see, you, because they'll see my finished products and be like, oh, she loves being on camera. I'm like, are you kidding me?
No.
No.
It's part of the game, and you know, we
Yeah,
have to play the game.
yeah.
So that's really cool. And then in terms of other techniques or any tips, what would you say to someone that is about to start an online business? Let's say the three top things that you would recommend someone to focus on?
Okay. So I'm going to say all the things that I made mistakes with. The first is to to choose a profitable niche. And I know it's like the boring advice and everyone's like, oh yeah, niche down. And everyone doesn't do it at the start. Well, I certainly didn't. I was like, I don't want a niche. I'm not going to say no to people if they want to work with me. I'll work with anybody who wants me to do any kind of social media for anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll get clients, but they will kill you. They'll be such a pain. It will not be aligned. It's hard to grow. And it's just like, don't fight it, because I think a lot of people, and again, still when people come to work with me, they're just like, yeah, but do I need to niche down? Is this not too specific? I don't want to say no. But it's the magic ingredient to growing your business when you're starting, is to have a niche, and to have it like, and the best niches I think are always connected with like a previous version of yourself, because you can speak into that so authentically. So definitely niche down, fight the resistance. It will pay off 100%. Then I would say, try and get on camera quicker than I did, which wouldn't be hard. It took me about 4 years. But again, leaning into stories for sure. They are so good because you can literally do anything, delete if you want to, gone 24 hours. It will just give you confidence. And the quicker you can kind of, I resisted it for so long. I was just like, no, I'm a writer. I don't need to do this. I was like, yes, you do. You have to get on camera. So definitely do that. And then the other biggest mistake I made was focusing only on one-to-ones, which again is a very normal thing to do when you're starting out. And yes, absolutely, you start somewhere, you start with a one-to-one, but have a plan in place of how you're going to get out of one-to-one. Because what I ended up doing with what a lot of people do was I just buried myself in one-to-one work without really meaning to. And suddenly I was like, well, I'm working all the hours of the day. I'm chained to my laptop. I'm, just so stressed out, not really able to take on more clients, but also capped at income. So you almost like build yourself into this little prison of
Yeah.
a lower level of income and a high amount of stress and work and nowhere to go. And then then your own marketing starts to slip because you don't have time to do your own camera or reels or whatever. And you get stuck there. And that happened to me for about, I would say, 2 years. And again, I had to just came to a point where it's like, maybe I just need to quit this. It was a recurring theme a few times. I was like, no, okay, just pause. And I invested in, mentoring programs and all the rest, and was like, how do I take this that I'm doing on a ad hoc basis to, people one-to-one, and turn it into a proper program? Because it'll also create not only more flexibility for you and your time, for your income, but you'll deliver more to your clients as well, because you're not just wiped and trying to stuff everything into a session or two. You're giving them a proper transformation and a program they can go through their own pace. So I wish, again, I'd done that faster. It took me till the end of 2019 to get that in gear. So if I could do it all again, there's the three things I think I would really focus on first.
That's amazing. I feel like we all got like a little mini coaching session with you right now. And I feel seen. Because there's so much you can do with the amount of hours you have in your day. And I'm guilty of that. Like, I do work one-to-one with clients, and I love it. I absolutely love the connection and the contact I have with these people every day. But I feel like at some point, I feel like I'm kind of like caged in that little space, and I want to grow more, and I want to scale more. So I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that feeling. So it's good to keep that in mind and think about that in terms of scalable solutions for the business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So touching on that part of us trying to fill up all the hours to work and all of that, I know that you also love your wellness, and you really love your, relax time, spend time with your doggies, Jessie and Roxy. So what do you do to keep your head, sane, and keep yourself on the best place, mentally and, overall?
Yeah. So my dogs are a huge part of that, in case that wasn't already clear, that I talk about them all the time. But yeah, I feel like dogs are so good in just keeping you grounded in the present moment and doing things that are healthy for you. So they make me go out for a walk a couple of times a day. Like Jessie will come up and poke me if I've been at the laptop for too long and like make me go and take a break. So funny. But they just like when you play with them, you're just like you're just in the moment with them, and you're not on your phone, you're not whatever else. So I feel like they are my kind of therapy in a lot of ways. And they also are great for like meeting people and connecting with others. Like anytime I take them out to a cafe or something, like we just talk to everyone. Everyone just comes over and has
Yeah.
chats. So it just takes you out of your own world and connects you with just loads of people. So highly recommend dogs to anybody for any kind of self care. But I'm also like a big, candle incense person, all of that stuff. Very like, I like to sort of focus on the senses a lot, in terms of just like, smell, light, all these kind of things. I just feel like center me. I do a lot of meditation when I remember to. And music is a big one as well for me still. I listen to a lot of like blues music, which I love, very old school 1920s blues music. Sing along to that and play the harmonica a little bit too.
Oh, wow. Another surprise. That's really cool. And do you still sing like
On stage,
anywhere?
I haven't for
Yeah.
a while. So like it kind of all broke up over COVID a little bit, and like people went
Yeah.
on to like get married and have babies and all that kind of stuff. So it just didn't happen. I'd love to do it again, but I mean, I think they'll have to wait till their kids are a bit older or something to do it. But yeah, we were like this little band, four of us in it, three girls, one guy. The guy was like, used to play the banjo and sing, and we did kind of again like old bluesy stuff and harmonizing and all that. And so yeah, I loved
Love
it.
that.
So fun, yeah.
Love that. Cool. Okay, so we're almost going towards the end of our conversation, but I would like to ask you, what are you most proud of, what you achieved in your business so far? What's your proudest moment, if you can say?
Oh, okay, so it's all quite stuff that's quite recent. I suppose that's normal because it's what's most on your mind. Um, Turning my program into a fully fledged group program was something that I had planned to do for a while. Again, like I created my program was OBA, and I created it in 2019 with the view of turning it into a group program in 2020. I was in France at the time and moved back to Ireland in like February of 2020 when we all know the whole world shut down. My dog passed away the same month. So my whole world just fell apart, and I was in, lockdown, isolation, all the rest. So I just didn't do the group program. I just kind of was like, just leave it as it is. So I kept running it as one-to-one, still a program, but it was all one-to-one. And I just kind of, time just got away from me. Like that was, 2 years of doing that. And then I got back into that stage of burnout of just like, I'm still just working one-to-one people now, even though it's in a program. But I just was like, I just kind of got fed up. And I was at the time as well doing content that I was feeling very misaligned with, where I was talking a lot about, because a lot of business had started in 2020, and there was so
Yeah,
much noise about like Instagram hacks, do this, da da da. And I felt like I had to keep up with it. And I was like, what am I doing? I don't care. I don't care about Instagram hacks or hashtags or whatever else. And I was finding I was becoming a go-to person for that stuff. And I was like, I just don't care. Just Instagram is a platform. It doesn't matter. It's just like the content is
yeah,
what matters. So I kind of had a moment again where I was almost going to quit my business. And instead decided, I remember actually meeting a friend who's also in business, and I said to her, I was like, I think I'm just going to close it down, and I might just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, why don't you just take a break and calm down? I was like, no, I think I'm just going to close it all down. And she was like, I was like literally saying, I think I'm just
yeah,
going to delete my Instagram account. She was like, maybe don't do that. Just like wait a minute. And so I did, thank God, and sort of took a bit of a break and stopped taking on clients for about 6 months to just sort of really think about, okay, what do I actually want to do here? And I realized I really didn't want to do the Instagram stuff anymore in terms of like how to do Instagram, how to code, da da da. And I went much more, that's when I kind of went much more into my own roots again of like being a journalist, copywriting, marketing, business strategy, stuff that I was actually interested in doing. And was like, why don't I just focus on that? I don't know. It's all those things where you just sort of, you realize it and go like, how did I not realize this before? Of course, why am I talking about Instagram hashtags? And everything just sort of shifted, and I eventually, like, it ended up being 3 years later that I launched the group program finally. So it was a huge journey on an emotional level and everything from everything that happened. So I think I'm like so proud that I did it. I did the whole big launch. It's full, the launch sold out, and it's been kind of evergreen ever since. So I'm really proud of that program and the people in it and the results they're getting and everything as well. It means a lot to me because it took me so long to get there for it, I think.
Yeah. Well done. I'm very happy for you, and I definitely, I think I see a change as well, from an audience point of view when I watch your content. I think I saw that shift happening. It's much more. I remember I did your free masterclass a couple of months ago, and you say, I think it was on the masterclass, that you say something that people keep posting things that you can actually Google and find out. So why are you wasting your time posting tips and tricks that anyone can go into Google, ask the question, and get the answer? That has not adding any value to anyone. And I think that your content is so intentional, and it's so easy to put in practice. And just, if anyone did not do the free masterclass from Karen, they should do it, because it's free, and it's actually should not be free, should be paid, because it's packed with value. So I'm just plugging it here. So yeah, so that's really impressive, and well done you, Karen, for achieving that. That's huge. I guess now what I wanted to ask you is, what's next? What are the next steps? Are you just kind of like enjoying the sailing, or do you have anything on the pipeline that you want to share, or you can share with us?
I have so many things coming. I'm going through a real revamp creative phase right now. So I have a mini course called the Instagram Bootcamp, which I created. God, it was before I had this shift. So I've always felt a little bit misaligned with it. And now I'm going to completely redo it, change the name, change the branding, everything for it. That's going to be much more focused on like sales strategy rather than, which it sort of is, but I think it's just positioned incorrectly in a way.
Yeah.
I want to record it all again because I just don't feel like I'm the same person or something anymore as when I recorded it. So that's coming soon, hopefully, if I can just block my time in to actually do it. And then I'm also going to be revamping OBA and making that kind of a bit more higher level again and adding in more things there. And I'm also looking to create a new course called, this is the first time I've said this publicly.
Ooh, exciting. I feel privileged.
Called OBS, not to be confused with
Ooh.
IBS. Online Business Starter, which will be more like a sort of, I wouldn't say cheaper, but like lower price for people who are just literally starting their business and because I feel like I know myself, again, when I was starting my business, I wasn't in a position to invest in high-end coaching. It just wasn't possible. And I also think at that stage of business, you're better off being a bit scrappier and kind of like learning stuff, doing all the courses and figuring it out. And then you're ready to be coached. So I want to create that kind of container for people that they can go in, it be super high valuable, yet affordable. And it can just really help them go from like, I have a business idea, or like I've sort of started, how do I get my first couple of clients? And that be the goal for that. So that when they come into OBA, or if anyone comes into OBA from that, they've already gotten clients and they want to now completely scale and take it to the next level. So I'm really just sort of like getting very intentional about who goes where, because at the moment I'm kind of taking people in and like, they're probably better off in a different course in that way. So yeah, that's the plan. If I can do all that over the next couple of months.
Sounds exciting. Sounds really exciting. And I'm sure it's going to be a huge success, as always, as everything you do. Okay, so just to close, is there anything you're currently reading, listening, or watching that you would like to recommend to our listeners? Any book, any podcast, anything except this podcast?
This podcast, of course. Actually, I'm going to recommend my client's podcast because I just listened to her this morning and she's brilliant and she's just one of the loveliest people. Her name is Norma Beyond the Norm Coaching. And I'll give you the details, a link in, but she has a podcast out where she's just she shares her life story. She just like, she's just so honest. She's such a great voice. You could listen to her for hours. And I was listening to her podcast, like her podcast episode I listened to this morning was an hour and a half long, and I did not feel it at all.
Oh, wow.
Kind of podcast where
I'll
normally
definitely tune in.
so I was just like engrossed and like literally like, what happened then? What happened? She's just such a good storyteller. And she does systemic coaching and all that kind of stuff. So she'd be a brilliant person for anyone looking for coaching as well. But yeah, I'm really enjoying her podcast at the moment.
Amazing. So we'll take note of that. It will be on the show notes so people can check it out. And where can people find you, Karen, if they don't know already? Where are you online? Share your
Instagram. You know, I've just dissed the platform. Love you, Instagram. I am Instagram at the Simplified social media. Or if you're more into dog content, you can go to at smalldogs_big-city.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Karen. It was a pleasure to have you here. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Core Brands. If you want to learn more about my guest's journey, support their business, or shop their incredible services and products, you can find all the links in the show notes. And if you are a new founder looking to build your own core brand, head over to my website at coreinformeddesign.com to see the many ways we can work together. I'll catch you back here in 2 weeks for another insightful conversation with an inspiring founder. Until then, take care.